In this video, I'm reviewing the Ninja Foodi Power Blender and Processor, so let's get started. Inside the box, you'll find a 1200 watt motor, a 72 ounce pitcher, a lid for the pitcher which has a spout for pouring and the lock and release button. Once the handle is up, it can only be lowered by installing it on the pitcher, a dough blade, and a stack blade which is inside the pitcher, a cleaning brush, and a quick start guide together with a recipe booklet. Here is the base of the pitcher. The base of the motor also has 4 suction cups to hold it onto the counter, and you'll see these little vent holes here at the base of the motor. On top of the motor you'll see a lock symbol. Place the pitcher diagonally and then turn it clockwise until it locks into place. If the pitcher, the lid or the blades are not attached properly, you'll see these 2 flashing dash lines. To open the lid, press the release button, then lift the handle. And the lid can only be attached one way before it can be locked in. So if you install it in the wrong way, you'll see that it's not pushed in all the way into the pitcher. So if you're having trouble locking it, just rotate it until it's flush inside the pitcher. The size of the pitcher is 72 ounces or 9 cups, but you can only have a maximum liquid amount of 64 ounces. And the pitcher is also marked for cookie max and dough max amounts. On the other side, you'll have liters and milliliter measurements. So the model that I'm reviewing doesn't come with a separate smoothie bowl maker, but it does have the smoothie bowl program built into it. It just doesn't have its own separate smoothie bowl maker attachment. I already have the Ninja Power Nutri Duo Power Blender, which does come with a smoothie bowl maker. I'll leave a link to my video if you want to watch that, but in my opinion it's not really the best. It does take quite a bit of effort twisting during the entire process. So the smoothie bowl maker won't fit into this unit. The base of the blades is slightly bigger for this unit. And also the smoothie bowl has these little hooks or clips around the edges that are supposed to fit into the base of a motor. With the unit plugged in, press the power on button and there are 4 preset auto IQ programs: smoothie, bowl, chop and dough. You can also use these programs on the manual setting. Just turn the dial to select the speed from 1 to 10. Okay, I'll start by chopping some onions using the Auto IQ program, and it runs for 5 seconds and that'll give you a large chop. Let's take a look. There's only a couple of pieces that it missed, but otherwise it's done a pretty decent job for a large chop. You can see that they're quite nicely chopped inside there. I don't see any other chunky pieces at the bottom. I'm going to pop it back on and run the chop program again for a smaller chop. So again, 5 seconds. Let's take a look. Take out the blade by holding it carefully at the top. And it has done a pretty good job, I think, chopping it all up into an even size. I want to see how well it's going to chop and puree tomatoes. So using the manual setting, push the dial to start, then I'll turn the dial to increase the speed to reach the puree consistency. I think I only need to go to 9. Seems to be getting there. And then you can either bring the speed down and then stop it, or you can just stop at that speed level too. And here is the puree. Let's remove the blade carefully first. And it's pureed it like it should. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from this. And this is great because I do like to make and freeze batches because they work great in cooking and also in a lot of recipes. And the bottom of the pitcher has no large clumps or leftovers in there. And just to show you the chopped results, the first large chop is very uneven in size, some really large pieces. And then the smaller chop again is not uniform in size either. And then finally the third chop, which just makes it into a mince. Well, I guess that's okay because again, tomatoes are going to turn into mush if you chop them in too long. And then here's the puree I just made. Okay, moving on to making a smoothie bowl. First I'll add some liquid, and I'm just using coconut water. Not too much liquid, only half a cup. Next I'll add my frozen fruits or veg. I'm using mango and strawberry. And then you can add any seeds or nut butter. I'm just going to add some yogurt. I usually add Greek yogurt, but I'm all out and this is all I have left in my fridge. So I'm just going to use this, and you can use flavored or plain. I'm just going to use strawberry flavored using the Auto IQ bowl program. So the Auto IQ program works by pausing and starting itself and then doing a longer blend. That's how it aims to get all the ingredients to mix and blend properly. So it was quite loud, just like the Power Nutri Duo that I have. And this program ran for 40 seconds, whereas the Power Nutri Duo runs for 60 seconds and it comes out much better. It did leave quite a few chunky pieces, but the smoothie is thick and it doesn't fall off the plastic spoon. And I'm emphasizing on the plastic spoon because it will slide off a stainless steel spoon, which I showed in my Power Nutri Duo video. I think 40 seconds is not long enough to blend everything together. So you can either run the program again, or you can run a manual program on the highest speed 10 until everything is mixed really well together. Onto a smoothie drink, I'm going to add some fresh strawberries, fresh beetroot. I'll just add the remaining yogurt, then I'll add some liquid. Again, I'm going to use coconut water, which I find is the best for added flavor instead of plain water, which will just dilute it. So I'll add a cup of coconut water, and of course you can add any type of milk too. And lastly, just top it off with any frozen fruits and veg. I'm going to use blueberries. Select the smoothie program, push the dial to start. Since it's a thinner mixture, I'm going to use the pouring spout. The spout is a little stiff at first. Hopefully it'll ease up after using it a few times. And look at that, it looks great so far. Let's take a closer look. It's blended everything very well, nice and smooth for sure. It does have that blueberry texture, if you will, but otherwise it's nice and smooth. The trick, I think, is not to add too much liquid, and it's also going to depend on the texture of the food that you're blending. The blender itself did a decent job. There's no lumps in there. It'll actually be perfect for my kids. And finally, let's use the dough blade to make some pizza dough. I'm going to add half a cup of water, a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of sugar, a quarter cup of oil, 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and lastly I'm going to add the instant yeast. Select the dough program and it will run for 45 seconds. And it's going to shake quite vigorously, so keep an eye on it. Okay, so I think it needs a little bit of water, so I'm just going to stop it and add a little bit of water. And see if that helps. Okay, so it's cleaned all the sides of the picture. It's looking a little better, but let's just see how it feels. still a little dry, so I'm going to add a little bit more water and then just run the dough program again. Whoa, looks like it's about to bounce off the counter here. Let me just stop it and secure it back down to the counter. I'm just going to stay right next to it and hold it down. Let's see now, it should be better. Yeah, now it's much better. Let's take out the dough blade first and then take out the dough. Oh dear, there's a lot of dough stuck at the bottom here. Okay, I'm going to scoop all of that out. And now I have to knead it by hand, so it doesn't really knead, it only mixes the dough. So if I just give it a stretch, I can see that it's a good consistency. It's not too sticky and it's not too dry. And let's look at the base of the dough blade. Oh dear, there's so much stuck inside there. It's so sticky. I have to try and scoop all of that out. Now I'll just have to knead the dough until it's nice and smooth, and then I can see it bounce back. Make it into a nice little ball and then leave it to rise. So I'll clean the pitcher by adding some warm water and a couple of drops of dish soap, run it on the bowl program. But I'll still need to clean out the dough blade using the cleaning brush and washing it all by hand, or I'll just pop the pitcher, the lid and the blades in the dishwasher. So overall, it's an okay appliance to have in the kitchen. I'm not a huge fan of it, I will be honest. It purees and makes smoothie drinks just as good as any other blender. The chopping is okay depending on what you're chopping. Harder foods, yes. Softer foods, maybe not so much. But I think it would be great for mincing meat for sure. The smoothie bowl works well, surprisingly, but you do have to run the program a little longer. 45 seconds is not enough to blend everything. Making pizza dough, not so good unfortunately. Perhaps a lighter dough recipe and cookies and cake mixtures. The motor is not loud when you're running the chop and the dough program, but it is fairly loud, especially when you're running the smoothie bowl. And the blender is loud, I guess, just like any other blender. Alright guys, I hope you found my video useful. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment, and I hope to catch you in my next video.